All right, so Ashley's here. She's gonna teach us about how to work with first-time home buyers.
So I have some handouts and everyone. See it as I go through. I have all this like in my presentation, but you'll be able to. Yeah, one of them. Could we possibly close garage? Because I kind of figured people come in and then be able to pick up in. For you, Ashley. Okay. Get your coffee before your man.
Okay. Focus.
We're not trying to get it.
Very good.
I didn't have the time.
Okay, I can bring it to you. First time I've seen it opening to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm in the other room on the way, but I didn't even see it happen.
Yeah.
So Natalie's going to get some handouts for you guys, but thank you everyone for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ashley Davidson. Been a realtor licensed for about 4 years now. Been with KW going on 3 years next month. So most of my clients are first-time home buyers. It's kind of like my bread and butter. So I'm very excited to share some of my tips for success with first-time home buyers. So just a little bit before we get started. Just want to touch base on things that first-time home buyers find a little bit overwhelming. It's a big deal. It's one of the biggest financial purchases someone makes in their lifetime. And if you Google one of the top stressors, moving is honestly in the top 10. So it's a very stressful process, emotional process. So the biggest thing is just to prepare them. Let them know that you're always there. It's going to be scary. It's going to feel emotional. You may cry after you lose your first offer. It's totally fine to feel all of the things, but just be there as a guiding light for them and, help take on some of that stress for them. So really the biggest thing is the unknown for first-time home buyers. And like I said, stress can make someone change a little bit. You may seem that a first-time home buyer may get a little mean or, nasty towards you. And just remember, it is them, it's not you. It's just the stress that can really change someone. So just try to keep your thick skin and not to take it too personal. So this is pretty much what I'm going to go over today, just touch base on. I'm not going to go too deep into the finances because again, not a lender, but just the basics that you need to know to relate to first-time home buyers. Going to touch briefly on what I do for my buyer's consult. Again, not going to go into detail because that's like a whole class in its own. And then, what I do to present a strong offer, some objection handling, and then how to attract and retain your clients. So basics to financing. You want to partner with a good lender. We have plenty in-house lenders. We have Mary, Shane, Mark and Nico. We have Youssef. And you want to talk to them and get to know the basic financing options and available programs. So just the basics that you should know. FHA, you have 3.5% down. You have the mortgage insurance premium for the life of the loan if you put less than 10% down. If you put that 10% or more, it only sticks on for 11 years. Minimum 580 credit score. Big thing to note with the credit score, you want to tell them that this is the score they need after the hard credits pulled, because if they have a 580, they do the hard credit pull and it dings them a little bit, a couple points, then that can affect them for qualifying. Conventional, it's 3 to 5% down, PMI until you reach 20% equity, 620 credit score. VA financing, that's for active duty and honorably discharged vets, 0% down, no PMI, no minimum credit score. And then the big thing for this is there is a funding fee that gets tacked onto the loan amount. So something to ask lender for details of that. And lastly, these are just another one you may see. Renovation loan can be conventional, can be FHA. Your down payment depends on which type it is. Same thing with the PMI or MIP. Minimum credit score can vary. Obviously, better credit score, the better position you'd be in. And then the big thing for this is you must have a 10% contingency reserve. So they always say to expect a project to take longer and be more expensive. That's what that 10% is in the event that you go over that budget. So the buyer consultation. I like to make this kind of like a 3-part situation. I do a pre-consultation call. I have the actual buyer's consultation, which I like to do either over screen via Zoom or belly to belly in person. And you want to like meet them, see their face, know who's on the other side. And then lastly, the post consultation, what you do afterwards. So to start with the pre-consultation, I have that handout. It's the buyer information for you guys. So I set up a call, 15 minutes. I usually block out 30 because you may have someone that may want to share more information. They may be a little bit more talkative, but usually can be about 15-minute call. This is really all about the buyers. It's learning everything about them. You're going to ask them everything in here, what their address is, their phone numbers, their email. Are they pre-approved yet? Ask them about if they have kids, do they have pets? You want to know them so you can relate to them throughout the transaction. With their pre-approval, do they know what, type of financing they have? Are they aware of closing costs? Those things you just want to briefly touch before the consult. What price range, if they are pre-approved, that they're looking in, what features they're looking for in a home, what towns they want to be in. And then the big thing, do they currently own? Because you're going to need to know, do they need to sell first or not in order to buy? First-time home buyers, it's a little different, but with a first-time home buyer, are they renting? Are they on a lease? Are they on a month-to-month? Those are things that are going to help you when you're navigating your offer terms. And then when do they want to move? Ideally, and then is there anyone else that's going to be involved? Because you may have a call with one person, they may have a significant other that's going to be involved. Maybe they have family gifting them, money for their down payment. So you want to know who's going to be involved in that transaction. And then I like to just jot down some personal information, like when did I contact them? How did I find them? Was it a referral? Was it an online lead, open house? And then just some notes that you just may find useful. They may come to you with an address, so you may want to put that down so you know this is the type of home they like for future, things of that nature. And then the biggest thing that you want is you want to close that call with an appointment, because there's no point of the call if you're not getting the appointment. So we want to get that buyer consult on the calendar. So next, the actual buyer consult. So you're going to go through the entire process, start to finish. I have a little roadmap in part of the handouts. So that's just the basics as to, I have handouts too, if you want to take some. So that's just the basics to the way that it works for the process. And then you're going to cover the CIS. So you go over agency, and then you're going to go over the exclusive buyer agency agreement with them on the consult. You're going to confirm all wants and needs. So, with them and any partner that's joining in, and then you're going to get contact for all involved. So as I mentioned, I have my knowledge is key here. So just briefly, we start with the team, and it doesn't mean you're on a real estate team. I just happen to be on one, but we consider that to be your real estate agent, your mortgage lender, your real estate attorney, and your home inspector. So our team looks at it as we're the 4 pillars of the foundation of your home buying process. Make sure they get pre-approved. Do they have a lender? Are they open to suggestions to your local lenders? Then you're going to go through the home search, and that's where that buyer information sheet comes in. Then you're going to go through making an offer, which I'll touch about in a little bit. And then you're going to go through the home inspection. You have your home appraisal, and then you're going to prepare for closing, which means finalizing anything that your lender requests from you, or the title may need from you, and then having your final walkthrough. Then you have your closing day. And then I just kind of put here the CIS and then the exclusive buyer agency. So whenever I get someone scheduled for the consult, I immediately create an opportunity in command. I fill in their information in the consult so that when they're looking at it, they're seeing their names in it, and it's helping them want to work with you. So they're associating their names and your names as opposed to just some random blank contract. And I do preface my buyer consult with the fact that I will email them everything we talk about, so they don't have to worry about scrambling to write information. Let them know it's going to be a lot that comes at them. They may not have questions now. Questions may come, later on when they're actually going through the process and things start to make sense. So with the consult, so you're going through the process and you go through all of this. So I have all of that done, and then you want to have any questions confirmed that they may have in the moment. And then, like I said before, if someone's coming in with a partner, whether it's a significant other, a sibling, friend, whoever in the process, they're on that Zoom with you. You want everyone who's involved to understand it. And then to wrap up, you want to then say, say I have, I'm going to use Mike and Megan. So say I call Mike and he's the one who I have the pre-consult call. Him and Megan are going to be buying together, so they're on the Zoom. I'm going to say, hey, Mike, can you start a group chat with me, you, and Megan so I can get her phone number? And then Megan, once we get the group chat started, can you send me your email? That way I can send you guys everything. So now you have everyone's contact information. They go in your CRM. They're going to be touched on your marketing campaign. So you have extra touches throughout the process, whether or not they're ready now, 6 months, 12 months, you're going to be touching on them. Once you wrap up with the consultation, you're going to email a copy of the presentation to them. You're going to email that filled out CIS, that filled out buyer agency agreement. I also send a mock contract so that they're seeing everything before they write an offer. The mock contract is something I actually started this year, but I feel like it's just best for them to be able to see it so that there's no confusion. And at the last hour, when you're trying to do a highest and best and they're asking you 5,000 questions because they didn't see the contract beforehand. So I like to send all of that in a wrap-up email, same night of the consult, whether or not the consult's in the morning or the evening. I always say, you'll get this to me before the end of the day. Then you're going to, in a separate email, if they've said it's okay to share any lender information, you're going to either email them your vendor list with your preferred lenders or just shoot them a text with the contact information, whichever mode of contact you know that they prefer. Any questions so far in the consult? All right, so presenting a strong offer. So I have a couple handouts for this that I go through with my offer. So one thing that I do, I have an offer cover that I do. Also, so you can see it. So this is something that I did have my buyers did close on this from the end of last year, for an example. So a big thing really for your buyers is not just your relationship with them, it's your relationship with other agents. You want to put yourself in the best foot forward to help your clients. There's been cases where I have not necessarily been the best offer, but my follow-up communication and how I present the offer has won my clients' deals. So you want to be like the full package agent. So what I do is I summarize it in my email. So I break it down to here's the offer price, their deposit, what type of financing and how much it is for, their closing date, if they have a home to sell or not, the inspections, appraisal, and for this one, we kind of did some verbiage where we were guaranteeing up to $8,000 should the appraisal not come back in. And then your attorney information, you want that set, you want them to see that your buyers are serious, they have everything ready to go. And then your commission, I even if they're paying out, I still put in the buyers are requesting whatever they're paying out. And then I summarize what comes in my single PDF. So I start with that offer key point summary, the MLS sheet, and I have my client's initial that so they confirm they've seen it. You have the contract, cooperating broker compensation, your lead paint, seller's disclosure, and then lastly, your financing. So over here I have, this is what my offer cover sheet letter looks like. I have a copy for all of you there, but I started this and I'm just gonna say, I did get this from Colin Shalata, so I wanna give her credit for that. And I've been using it pretty much since the last few years, but so this breaks down in details. Again, same thing, but they're seeing it on the first offer package. So you're having your email come in and look like this on the left. And then when they open the PDF here in the middle, this is the first thing that they're seeing. And that makes it look very great, organized. It makes it seem like you're on top of your stuff and you're going to be a great agent throughout the transaction. And I'm just going to show you what I put in my terms, just in terms of the offer details. So for this one, I had that they were limiting inspections to major mechanical, structure, and environmental issues. If the home didn't appraise, we're guaranteeing $8,000 up to the purchase price. We were seeking a closing date of November 15th or on the seller's timeline. We kind of make it a little bit flexible, so it seems like we're not stuck and rigid on that. Especially if your buyers are on a month to month, that is great for you because then they have a little bit more flexibility for the sellers. And then emphasize that they don't have a home sale contingency and then that they're requesting the compensation. Still put that in. I put it everywhere so that it doesn't get mixed or lost. So this is kind of just the basics to how I do the strong offer. Big thing that buyers may ask when it comes to finances outside of just basic financing options is how do I come up with an offer price? So I like to tell them, I'm never going to tell you how to spend your money, but I'm going to give you all of the tools so that you can make that decision for yourself. So the way I look at it is, what is that max number you feel comfortable with, knowing that if you put all of that money in and you didn't get the offer, you know you gave everything you had, and not knowing like, oh, well, we could have actually gone up $15,000 more and got this house. In the same breath, you want to make sure that they don't feel like if they do get the house, they spent too much to get the house. So you want to tell them, you want to hit that sweet spot based off what the comps are telling you in terms of what the home's listed for and sold for, and what that list to sold price ratio is. So that's a big thing that first time home buyer is going to ask is, what do I offer? And that's how I suggest it. Again, I never want anyone to feel like I've jaded them or cheated them based off my suggestions. So I let them come to the conclusion of the number that they want to offer. Okay, so big thing is when you're going through to keep your clients up to date and educated and make sure that they trust you, you want to be informative throughout the entire process. You want to explain what's happening before it happens and also while it's happening. You don't want them to feel like they're scrambling and they're lost, and it is a big transaction for them, especially if it's their first time buying a home. There's a lot that they don't know. And also, even if they get suggestions from their Uncle Joe, who's a contractor, or the dad who bought a home in 1986, right? They're not seeing anything post-market crash, let alone what happened in COVID. And what happened in 2020 is still different from what's happening now. We've had different laws that have come in the last couple of years. So you want to make sure that you are the one that they're going to for questions, reassure them that there are things that have changed, so they're not going and getting this, that, and the third opinion that may screw them in terms of where they're going to be guided. So once I have an offer accepted, my buyers get this. It is a next step checklist of everything that's coming for the transaction, down to from the offer accepted, what date it was accepted, when are things scheduled, did they get the OPRO, are there any permits open, when's their initial deposit or additional deposit due, are they getting a home inspection done, which they should, are they getting an oil tank sweep done, which again they should, if the home has a septic or sewer, which inspection are they doing, does it have a well, does it have a pool, and then when did the inspection letter go from the attorney to the seller's attorney, when's the appraisal scheduled, do you need a property survey, title search, when did that come back in, fire and smoke cert. I keep that in there because sometimes buyer's responsible for it depending on the type of home, but if not, then I just make a note, seller's responsible, and I check off when the listing agent tells me it's done. You want to have their mortgage commitment letter. I personally, for my timeline for sending the utility information to buyers, I make it 2 weeks before closing. That's my personal timeline to make sure that they have it way ahead of schedule, because so much is going to happen in those last 2 weeks. So I get that from the listing agent, I send that to them, and I tell them most of these you're just going to set up for the day of or day after closing. Just call in advance and let them tell you, hey, nope, call back when you close. I'd rather them know ahead of time than find out the last hour that they should have called 48 hours prior. Then lastly, is there clear to close received? When are you scheduling the walkthrough? Personally, I think it's best to do it the day before, because if something goes wrong, you have time before closing to get it handled, as opposed to doing your walkthrough at 9 a.m. with a close at 10 a.m. and you find out there's a hole in the wall and now you got to delay closing and the movers. So for example, I had buyers this time last year, we actually closed, and they were going to buy a bedroom set for their 2 sons and keep them in the bedroom that they're going to have them in. Well, we go to the walkthrough, mattresses are removed, we find out the bed frames are broken. So guess what? We're not buying the beds, we're getting our money back, they're not going to be taking them. And then we had it confirmed in the morning that those beds were removed from the house with photos from the listing agent that they were in fact removed. So you never know. Also, any damage to furniture, was the couch blocking a hole in the wall that you had no idea because it didn't need to be moved in inspection, those big things you want to make sure are covered. So for me personally, I suggest night before, if possible, just because you want to give yourself time in case any issues arise. And then at the bottom, I have this so it's like automatically set math wise, so it can do the math for when their additional deposit, mortgage, balance at closing is done. And then on the other side, I put who's involved in the transaction. So obviously I'm their agent. We have a transaction coordinator, you may not, but we put that there. Who's their lender? That's just my preferred attorney who I have in there, but they're free to obviously use whoever they want. You want to make sure they use a real estate attorney so they're not with someone who's stuck in court for days at a time and delaying their transaction. I put who the seller's attorney is, the seller's agent, title company, home inspector. And then if you have your well and your septic, I add those in after. But that way they have one spot so that they know to look for it. For me personally, I tell my clients Thursdays is my client care day. So Thursdays is when you're going to have the updates for me, unless there's something that needs to be known ASAP. Thursdays expect this to be filled out. That's what I tell them every week. So they know there's a date and time to expect it by. So that's just my way of organizing.
So this is a spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
Is this shared with your client?
Yep, I share it with them. So as soon as their offer is accepted, I share it with them so they can see it. And then I tell them Thursdays is my day that I update this so that you can see it in real time. Obviously, if something pops up on like Tuesday that we need to know, I'll put it in there. But generally speaking, it'll be updated on Thursdays.
Do you share, is it just like a Google Doc that you share with them?
It's a
They
Google
have
spreadsheet.
access to it?
Yep,
Okay,
and they
cool.
can see it. So they just can view it. I can edit it, they can see it. So that they can follow along through the process. So this is just another touch point to make sure you show your value to your clients so that they see you're organized, they know that they'll understand what's happening, there won't be any questions, and if they do have questions, they don't know what's happening in general, they may have additional, but at least they have somewhere to go first before they may have further questions for you.
Actually, quick question.
Yeah.
When you started implementing this, did you see a difference in maybe how many times they reached out to you with questions or what was
Yeah,
the change?
I definitely got less questions, because they could see it, because I would get, when is this due, when's our deposit due, when's this due? So now they can go and see it, and now I honestly, amount of questions I have dropped at least in half. They're not asking me for those small dates because they see it. And then I'll refer to it saying, and it helps me because then I know, okay, this was scheduled this date. I may put notes of the attorney said this, so I know which email it's going back to. I'm also super organized for anyone who doesn't know me. So I even have in my Gmail, like I have different colors for my buyers, and then I have it broken down by year, and then it's in their name, so I can really go and see the deal because I have it labeled. For the one I had before, it was I have that labeled so I can go back easily and find out just how I was able to get those screen grabs. But so I'm super OCD with that. But this also helps me because it helps me have one place to look at it as opposed to trying to shuffle through those emails, because I used to do that and it would be like I couldn't remember which email had what. Then you're looking at 50 emails later and then you don't even get your answer in time. So I also use this to help myself.
That's great. This is a great sheet.
Yeah.
And I could share any of this with anyone if you're interested. This is something that I honestly started implementing as of this year. For anyone who didn't know, I actually was a first-time home buyer myself. I closed on my home New Year's Eve. So I personally made this checklist for myself because I needed it to follow through with everything I did. And then I was like, well, if I need it, buyers probably would want it too. So I made it into an actual Canva checklist. So I have this for the clients so that they know what's happening. Changing your locks and key codes, make sure you're changing your address because sometimes people forget you also got to change your banks and all that stuff. Utilities in your name, which yes, they already have that from the utility checklist I send them, but I added that there, saving all of your legal documents, scheduling your movers. So I suggest to do like a couple hour buffer from when the scheduling is, where the scheduling is, where the closing is scheduled. Just because I've had an instance where something came up and there was a hiccup, and then my clients are sitting there an hour later, and then the movers are waiting, and then they're paying another hour for the movers. So I say it's best just give yourself a buffer, get back to your home, pick up any last things, and then have the movers there, just because you never know, something could always pop up. Notifying the family and friends you want to know of your address change, registering with the city, installing any security or ring camera system. I suggested deep cleaning prior to painting because for me personally, I realized my cellar, while she was organized, was very not clean. So we needed to literally wipe down everything before we could even get a coat of paint. So I always suggest do a deep clean, paint, and then touch up clean if anything after. Being aware of any buyer scams. They're gonna get calls, they may get stuff in the mail. You never want them to think that whoever, because we know that lenders, once you have the loan funded, it sometimes gets sold to someone else. Last thing you want is someone to have a phishing scam saying it got sold and now they spent their mortgage to the wrong person and they have all their bank account information. So I always tell them, call the person who you used, your mortgage lender, first. They can confirm that if it is Chase that bought your loan or it is PNC that bought your loan. You never want them to, get in their house and lose all their money because they, misread an email or didn't realize it was a phishing scam. So that's a big thing to be aware of.
Actually, can I just add to that? So when we bought our home last year, so we went through NJ lenders and then every week for literally 3 months, we were getting mail that said NJ Lenders Corp, which is not NJ Lenders. So I'm so glad this is on your list because I remember we were getting those and we're like, oh, we called Mark right away. We're like, Mark, is that is that you guys? He's like, no, that's not.
Yeah.
We got it every single week and they are very persistent
Yeah,
and they just wanted our information.
we had the same thing. We used Mark too. So it was the same thing. We called Mark, is like, hey, did we actually, is Chase ours? They're like, yes, Chase is actually who it is. They are who you're going to be with. You can go ahead and pay them. It's all good. So like, we ended up paying our first mortgage payment to NJ lenders, and then it was bought shortly thereafter. Sometimes you may catch it before, it depends on timing, but we called him because we kept getting it's your last chance for your home warranty, and we've had your final notice 5 times ago. So you always want to make sure that they don't get scammed, because that's the last thing that you want. And sometimes people will blame you even though it's out of your control. And so the last thing you want is someone scorned blaming you and leaving a review, even though it absolutely had nothing to do with you. And then lastly, a couple things, big things, saving for your taxes. You want to make sure you have your documents for your tax benefits for your clients, and refer them to an accountant for that, but let them know that they do get some tax benefits as a homeowner. Estate planning, as morbid as it may seem, life happens, things can happen.
I have a question on the owner's question.
Yeah,
The septic, that's like extra, right? That's
yes,
like an add-on?
it is.
How much usually is that? I know they vary, but.
I take a few $100 at most for septic, a couple hundred to expect.
So I didn't lie to my client.
No. Yeah, I'd say a few $100 extra.
I thought it was like 250, 300.
Yeah, depends on the company, but I'd say ballpark a few hundred extra.
Yeah.
And so with the estate planning, sometimes the attorney you use also does wills. If they don't, I'm sure they have a connection for someone who does. Personally, my attorney does do wills sometimes. So you want to make sure that you have that set up, especially if your next of kin is not someone who you are close with. You want to make sure that the right people are getting anything, should anything, happen to you. And then lastly, leave your realtor a 5-star review. Always want to close that out. Always ask for the reviews any way you can. So going through presenting a strong offer, any questions on offers, any so far? Okay, so I'm going to go into just a few objection handlers that I've gotten. So first is, I don't want my credit pulled. My first thought that I think to say is, well, it's not necessarily a hard credit pull. It's going to be soft at first. Once you get through the process, they're going to do a hard credit pull. I like to use the car analogy. When you're buying a car, when you shop around and you're going to Nissan and Toyota and Honda, you're not necessarily worried about your credit. Why? You need a new car. You're going to look for that new car. And when you're going through, you're not getting a major credit hit each time. And they're recognizing on behind the scenes that you are shopping for a car loan. So they're not going to ding your credit each time you go to a dealership over a couple of weeks. Same thing when you're buying a home. They recognize it. They realize you're shopping for a mortgage, and it's going to work in the same manner. Another thing, I don't want to sign anything until I find a house I'm interested. We see a little bit more pushback now with the buyer agency agreements. I like to tell them, listen, this is so that you are protected and you know what is expected from my duties to you and what's expected for your duties to me as my client. So this is really to help the consumer make sure you understand how agency actually works and understand how commission works. So you are going to frame it so that it's all for their protection, because it is the Real Estate and Consumer Protection Enhancement Act. So it is for them. And then I also like to add, just to get and cast doubt, be like, look, it is a law that we have to have this signed before I can show you any properties. No agent in the state of New Jersey can show you any properties. And if they are, you may want to consider, or do you want to work with an agent who's doing something illegal right off the bat? Do they actually have your best interest at heart, or is it theirs? Cast a little doubt, because then they can decide, and then they realize, okay, I maybe have that sleazy agent who's just going to do anything to make the deal. Big one I always see, I'll get pre-approved once I see the home, once I like any of the homes we see. So I like to phrase it as, again, make it seem like it's them and it's not you. Like, yes, your personal business practice, you don't want to bring anyone out that's not a pre-approved, but you want them to believe it's in their best interest, not because of you. So I like to word it as, okay, that's great. And I've, found that some people want to do it that way. However, in this market with multiple offer situations, we may see a home on Saturday and they have a deadline Monday evening or Monday afternoon. So we need to be prepared in case you want to make a move. Also, some sellers don't even want us in their home unless we're pre-approved. Sellers aren't going to, and their agent aren't going to accept an offer and consider it a complete offer if we don't have a pre-approval. So wording them are just how the basics of how it works. And then also I like to add, if you see a home and say it's 500,000, then you come to find out you're only pre-approved for 400, Now you missed out on a home and you're going to compare every single one to this one. You may find something that checks all of your boxes, but it's still not that home. And now you're going into it with a jaded mindset. And at the same time, you may look at a home and it's 400,000, and you think I can only afford 400. Come to find out who can get pre-approved for 500. Now you missed every home in that 400 to 500 range. So you don't want to miss out on any opportunities, and you don't want that to then hurt any opportunities moving forward. So that's how I kind of like to word that. Are there any like objections anyone's found recently with buyers or first time home buyers?
I have another question, but I will, more so, I kind of was taking notes and I missed it, and I don't want to put my credit pool. So, basically, I was like, you're not, like, when you were mentioning the hard credit pool versus the soft one, so the hard one gets pulled like after they make the offer and it's accepted, like.
So each lender is different. Some will have their guaranteed assured underwriting, so they are doing that hard pull up front. But you can always say, some lenders will just do that soft initial pull for the pre-approval, and then they'll ask you for permission, can we now run your credit? At least that's how Mark did it for me. So he would ask, can we officially run your credit once we found the house and we're putting in the offer? So I would say, let them know that there is a way to do the soft pull first, because there are lenders that will, and then the hard, and they can usually find out a lot of stuff with the soft pull. Not too much that they'll find in a hard pull, but I like to put it that way in wording, just because it makes them feel a little bit more relieved. And also at the same time, like, some people may feel weird about it. They don't want their information out. They may feel uncomfortable, but just reassuring them sometimes that, like, look, I don't see anything that you don't tell me. So if it's not financial information that you're sharing with me, I don't know. So that may also help make them feel good, and just say, your lender will go through this. And also maybe they have some tips for you to help pull up your credit if need be. And maybe that's the difference with you having FHA versus conventional financing, or just a better rate because you have a higher credit score. So I just say you want to know, because if you need any room for improvement, they're going to be the ones to help you, and you don't have to pay some credit repair guy.
Got it.
And
So soft pulls.
Mhm.
First, I've only been doing this a couple of weeks, but I've been stuck in a situation with soft pulls.
Okay.
Soft pull, they don't even ask you for social security number. They're basically running your generic information. So I can say to you, this is how it happened. They wanted to sell me a home generator at Walmart, at Home Depot.
Mhm.
They gave him my name, my address. Oh, do we service your area? Next thing I know, as I'm walking around the store, the guy's like, you don't qualify. Like, well, how the hell do you know I don't qualify? Well, they took my name, my address, they did a soft pull, and didn't tell me that they were gonna do it. So my point to you is be open, be honest, tell them they're gonna do it. Because as a consumer, that home buyer, because it was 20 years ago, but I bought my first home. They don't want to hear bullshit later. They want to know upfront. So soft credit, you don't even need to hand out a social security number. When you do, that's your hard credit. And once you hand it out, you can't bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, well, the lenders that I work with, they do ask for all your pay stubs, everything, and that's kind of like their loose soft pull version. And then they do like the full underwriting as the hard pull. So the soft pull, for at least for my lenders that I work with, they are asking, because this is what they did for us. They asked for our pay stubs, W2s, whatever, for your income, your job. They asked us for all of that ahead of time. So that was already confirmed with my lender. And then he still asked us, can we fully run your credit once we had our offer approved? So he had all of that information to start with,
But there was an objective there. There was a reason why he was doing it. These other people that do stuff like that and don't tell you, they can get it with generic information. And he was right. Everything he had was accurate. And it was all just based on my name, my address. So there's more than one way to get information on you, especially a credit pull.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's an objective there. So if I'm willing to hand over my pay stubs because I'm serious about buying a house.
Right.
So
I think
just be open and honest with these people, because as like they said, as that guy, I'm like, well, screw your home generator. After what you just did, I'm not buying from you anyway.
I think what I love about your process, Ashley, is if you notice, there's so much that you do on the front end. Like I wrote all your different touch points and even the pre-qualifying phone call and the documents that they're already getting. So at the point where you're talking about credit, you've already built, even if it's someone you didn't know that well, there's a built relationship, which to your point, you know, if there was no built relationship, that conversation is a little tougher, but when you took the time to really educate them, walk them through the process, this is what to expect, before you're even asking, they already know what to expect. And they know that it's in their best interest. So I do love your process, Ashley, because I feel you don't find that as much to be an issue because you do all the prep in the front end. But someone who wants to move too fast and maybe skip the relationship building, prepping them for the market, it is tougher for that. But I think that relationship building part, I can't stress enough, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Ashley. It's a huge, I want to say it makes you guys move faster in other things because you took the work in the front end to actually build your credibility as their fiduciary, right?
Yeah.
You did everything you needed to on the front end.
Yeah, I would say honestly, the most times I see someone saying, I don't want my credit pulled, it's usually they're not serious. Or they already know that their credit's not great. So I find that the value that I give up front helps eliminate some of these questions, because sometimes that objection isn't necessarily that they don't want their credit pulled, it's that they don't trust you with their financial information because they don't understand the process. They don't know what you're going to know about their finances. So I find it more of a wall, and not necessarily that they actually may be scared to pull their credit, unless they really know that they don't have great credit. So they're just kind of, when people don't check their bank account and hope that they're fine kind of situation. But I kind of feel like it's more that, but once I have that rapport, because I'm doing the pre-consult call, I'm doing the list, the buyer consult, and I'm doing all of these things, showing them what I sent to them. And I tell my buyers that I am going to send them a checklist throughout the process so they can see it. So I do pre-warn them of everything that I will give them. I tell them I want to be an oversharer and have you have just clarifying questions as opposed to asking me questions because I didn't do my job.
Yeah, that conversation, even if somebody's telling you they don't have the greatest credit, I always urge them, listen, have a talk with my trusted lender, because it's gonna provide you clarity to the path moving forward. You're gonna find, maybe if you do have bad credit, a quick conversation he might have some pointers to fix that credit and get you on the right track to be able to be approved. And to your Natalie's point of how professional you're handling everything, everybody, the lenders that we work with, you want to make sure that they're at the same level of professionalism that you're going to be working at. So but if somebody's pre-approved, Mark is definitely saying, hey, we're just going to do a soft pull right now. And when he does a hard pull, you have to sign off. Right?
Yeah,
you have to sign off on
it was like, can I run your credit?
Yeah,
so
you have to
does
sign a
that.
DocuSign thing and saying yep, I give you consent to pull my credit. And so it's like, you want to work with people at the same level.
Yeah,
As you are.
definitely. So, big thing. How do you attract and then retain those clients? So you want to build a business centered around them. So they want to do repeat business with you and refer their friends and family, colleagues, everyone they know to you. You want to be that go-to. You want to let them know that even though we closed on your transaction and your home, that I'm still here for you after. If you need a contractor or plumber, I am annoyingly going to be that realtor for life, is kind of what I tell them. I am never going away. Unless they are clients that were not great and we don't want them to stay, but I literally will never go away. I'm always here for any questions. So you always want to be the go-to knowledge broker for everything. And case of just an example, say you have someone that's come to you and they're sharing we're trying to get an in-law suite or a place where we can have our mom, but my brother's also trying to see if he can do an addition on his home to house her. Now the brother's involved indirectly. Maybe shoot a contractor over and be like, look, I want to help you. However, here's a contractor. And maybe they don't even move because the brother now has the addition on the home, but they know that you took care of them regardless. And it wasn't just money for you because you didn't make anything if the brother, just did the contractor and they didn't have to move to have the mom move in. So little things like that. You want to be the go-to for everything. Just know that you are there to help. That is why we're in the business, to help people achieve their goals through real estate. So some things that you want to provide great education and service. Make sure they understand what's happening through the process. When you get their contact information, put them in your CRM, touch on them with your marketing emails. Maybe do specific marketing nurture for the areas they're looking for. Maybe the area they live in currently. So maybe, make sure you have all of that. Show that you have great expertise in service. So like how I have all of those steps, right? They're now knowing there's no confusion, all of this is covered. They're seeing when we get the executed offer, my clients are seeing that cover letter. They're really seeing what I actually did behind the scenes for their offer to get accepted. Then you have your client events, your appreciation for them. One thing that our team does is one of my favorite things that we do is our pie giveaways. Everyone does it differently. We rent out a place, we bring everyone there, they get their orders of their pies, we have games for the kids, we have those guess however many, candies in this, or we did one year where we collected pine cones, guess how many pine cones are in the jar. So there's 3 different levels of prizes they'll get. We have food, we have drinks and alcohol for the adults. So we make it a whole big thing, and it's nice because we see everyone else's clients and kind of get to know them. And then the clients get to talk about their stories. And then that builds extra trust of hearing this other story that I did for someone and for another person, and now they're all talking and see it. So that helps just gain another touch, keeping contact with them, because you got to send out the invite, confirm that they got it in case they didn't respond. Text them or call them saying, hey, I'll see you on whatever day, and then you're still touching them, and then you can reach out. So great to see you, right? Many touch points you have there.
Do they actually show up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of our clients do show up. They actually really love it. It's one of their favorite things. And I know people do it differently. Like Scott Stewart, for example, he hand delivers his pies. So everyone does it differently. Personally, because my clients are so spread out, it just was easier for our team to have a central location, but however you choose to do it. I know Donna Nelson was mentioning in the growth committee meeting earlier this month that she does at the lake, because she lives by Lake Hopatcong, I believe. And so she had invited, I think it was 150 clients, and like 60 something of them showed up. So they have their friends, their families, and same thing. They're all talking, they're sharing their experiences they had with her. And it's another touch point. It's a great thing for them. They enjoy it, that you still care about them after the close, and they're not just a transaction. Big thing. I love to do closing gifts. If anyone knows me, I do baskets for my buyers. I pretty much walk into Home Goods and let it tell me what I'm getting them. So I obviously have like a budget of what I do for my clients, but I love doing that. So especially because most of my clients are first-time home buyers, they're either moving from home or an apartment, and usually if you're coming from an apartment, you have random hand-me-downs, and so they have their nice kitchen towel set, and they have a bathroom towel set now, and like those small things that they may not think about. So I love doing that personally. Big thing, if anyone has a baby, send a gift. I had 3 of my clients had babies last year, all got a gift in the mail. I do the same exact gift. It's an elephant. I get it from Etsy. This woman's from Florida, she's great. You can do different colors on the ears. You can do pinks or blues or greens or yellows, and then I kind of do my FBI social media stalking, and in case I'm not friends with them on social media, and I try and see if they have posted like the birth details, length, the weight and the time. If I can't, then I just know the date and I put it on and they get it. And I don't tell them it's coming. They get an email saying a gift is on the way. Sometimes people will see it, sometimes they don't. But usually you get a call or a text when they get it. So again, another touch point. It shows that you care. And I love doing gifts. So that's just easy for me because it's fun. Other thing that's great for when you have people referring you clients from your sphere or your past clients, reward the referral, not the closing. So this is something that I've heard, and I forget what it's like 7 times for you to hear something before it resonates, and finally hit me, because I did at the end of the year last year, I did my 2025 planning and realized that most of my business came from referrals and fears, and I was not tapping into that whatsoever. So I realized I needed to switch my mindset for that. So this year I started, when I get a referral from $15 Dunkin' gift card in the mail with a thank you card. So something small just to say, thank you, I appreciate you. And I just say referrals are one of the greatest gifts to a realtor. I appreciate this so much. Simple, goes in the mail. I got a stack from the dollar store, and all you're paying for is stamps. So very easy way to touch them. And just in general, keep in touch. Birthdays, get their birthdays. I reach out to clients on birthdays, whether it's through Facebook, if I add them on social media, text or call, however they like to be, their favorite way of contact. Client events, you're keeping in touch with them, letting them know anything that they should. I personally, for my clients, when they close, I have them on HomeBot. So that's you can also tag up with a lender to cut on costs for that too. And when they see it, it's their home value, so they're able to see what the trends are seeing, what the home selling in their market is for, and it's a monthly email, so they're able to then go in, download the app and kind of play around with it. So you as the realtor then can see, they looked at homeowners report 3 times this past week, or this person now registered as a buyer because they're now looking. So now you have an idea, were they just searching? You can reach out, hey, saw you registered as a buyer, are you guys thinking of moving, or were you just looking and so it just automatically registered you as a buyer? Another touch point. So all different ways that you can keep in touch. We do the photos with Santa in the office. Use KW to your benefit. That's another touch for your clients to come through. And then that's free photos for them. That's another way to touch. And then also, because we get the photos before sending it to them, you have another touch point. You're seeing them and then you're hand delivering it to them as well. So the biggest thing is you really just want to be front of mind in every way possible and show that your expertise and that you still care. And then that's all that really takes to have them as repeat business.
Can I make a note on the photos with Santa?
Yeah.
Actually, so for those of you guys who haven't taken advantage of it, we always bring a really authentic Santa. He's amazing. It's Mr. and Mrs. Claus. We have the whole setup over here, a really nice background. We did the printed photos this year due to a large request. They're gonna be immediate digital ones, but what you guys can do, and ideas that I've heard in the office, like Sal is a big one. Like he is so about his spirit and taking care of his people. If you're in his database, you feel so loved and you feel so remembered by him. So he already gave me a good idea. He said for some of the people who come for the photos with Santa, if he, let's say, had 5 clients, he, based on what he knows about their home, he'll personally print one the size that he thinks that they would appreciate. So one of them has a big empty wall and he's like, oh, for them, I want to actually create a canvas. So when you get the digital one, you can really cater a great gift from that. And remember, you're not planning the event, you're not paying for the food, you're not paying for the photographer, you're not finding sponsors. We literally planned the whole thing. It's amazing, and they get to be in your office, and it also adds credibility. Like, wow, this is where Victoria works. What a really nice office. What nice people. You know, it's a great experience for them. So definitely take advantage of it. That's already one of your touch points, plus the delivering of the photo, plus them getting the initial digital one, plus the invites, right? That's already 4, unless you're doing a follow-up invite, right? So you can just save the date and then an invite with the RSVP. So please use it, guys. It's there for your benefit. The culture committee puts a lot of work into it, and they do plan your event for you. So
Makes it easy. So then again, it's kind of combined, client event, keep in touch, and you don't even have to stress, you just have to show up. You just have to remember to call them. You don't have to worry about the back end of it, like Natalie said. So it makes it a lot easier for you. And I love it because the holiday season's so busy. So not having to be the one to plan it during holiday season, you just have to show up and enjoy it with them. So it's a great touch. And then also you get to see their kids, if they've grown. Did you close with them last year? Was it earlier this year? Was it 2 years ago? So you're seeing them also grow as a family too. So it's nice to see. And for your clients, if you're stopping by and dropping it off, then you get to see what they've done to the home, right? What have you done? Have you added anything on? Did you change that bathroom finally, right? Most clients are really wanting to tell you. I have clients be like, oh yeah, and you're thinking you're stopping by for 5 minutes, 20 minutes later, you're sitting on the couch talking about all the things they've done in the house. So it's just another great way to have a touch point and an event that is free and hassle free, honestly. So that's it. Any ahas for anyone?
I really like your checklist.
I can send you.
That, yeah.
I can send you a copy.
I like that you share it with your clients too, because I don't think they recognize all the steps behind the scenes that we do.
Yeah.
So it's a great reminder of, even if we're not always talking, because it's always like weird to work with buyers for a long time, get a house or under contract, then
You
you're
don't
kinda
see
like,
them.
you don't see them. I got like separation anxiety,
Yeah.
it's weird. And I think that's a great way to like really maintain that checking in, even though you're not necessarily talking. Once inspections and appraisal are done, you're just kind of smooth sailing.
Yeah.
So I think sharing it with them is big. I gotta communicate that more with my people.
Yeah. So thanks.
I'd say just overall, just organization, transparency, and then showing clients that you truly do care, and like actually caring about your clients or steps to success. Right?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you're gonna make the money, and I feel like if you give that out, it'll come back to you tenfold. Like for me with my baskets, how I said I just let Home Goods tell me. I know spending a couple $100, like it's gonna come back to me in some way, shape, or form. So like I feel like, and it's always nice to be like, oh my gosh, you got me a gift, and they're not even expecting it, which is a nice feeling because I just show up. I like to show up to the closing if I can. So I'm showing up to the closing table, and then all of a sudden there's just a gift there for them when they walk in. Or if I come in after them, they're seeing me walk in with this huge basket. So then I like it because then they can keep the basket for future. Like I honestly did it for myself, for me and my boyfriend. I gifted him a basket.
Aw.
And now that
Client.
he is, and now that basket has all my sweatshirts in it. So so it's kind of like you can use it. That's why I like the basket, because usually you can use it in the home for some sort of storage.
I like how you do the objection handling. A lot of the times I could, it could help me wean out some of the people who are really serious and people who are just talking just to waste your time. And for the people who are serious, but they just don't know, it's good just to have those to let them know, hey, it's all negotiation, just like you're doing with me, you're negotiating with me, negotiate with your lender, negotiate with whatever title agent you have, appraisers, so that they could be thinking more autonomous, so then it's less work on your hand in the long run. Plus these checklists over here, even though you think you're organized, you never know how organized you are until you see somebody else's organization, you go, oh my God, I need to, maybe I should step my shit up.
Ashley is amazing, and she did all this work so that you don't have to recreate the wheel, Sam, so she used her strength to help you build your business, so I love it.
I will say checklist I took from Scott Stewart, and then I just added a little bit, so which also I know is technically Megan's.
Scott has something, there's a 45% chance it was mine.
So that's kind of where that came from, but that's the great part of this office, we all share, you just kind of can make it to your own, and for me, I added things that I thought like I saw myself or other people saw for my clients, so it was great, so I didn't really have to reinvent the wheel completely.
For me as a new agent, the whole presentation was very helpful. I don't have a client, so all of these
Yeah.
tips that you gave definitely is gonna help me become more organized. I'm also OCD. But
I love it.
all the tips that you gave were very helpful, so thank you.
Thank you, you're
You did a
welcome.
great job.
Welcome. And also just a little thing, I totally forgot to mention it, but this is also just because I'm just super organized and maybe borderline neurotic, but with appraisals, I print out comps and I write notes on every single one of them to give to the appraiser, which is why I show up to every single appraisal. For example, for the reason why I pulled this specific home story time, so I had a comp that was right next door. The day of our appraisal was like the last day it would have shown up as a comp, because the year would have passed the next day. So if that appraiser opened their desktop at 8 AM the next day, they would have missed the home next door, which was the most perfect ideal comp. So I was able to share that. Also, a prosperity agent sold it, so I asked more details about it. There was another home that was a comp that I put in, it was under contract, it was Ronnie's listing. We went up to the home we got for 560. We went on that one at 600, and Ronnie called me, hey, we got a stupid offer, they're like fully pre-approved, can you come up? And I was like, 600's our max, we can't do anything. So I was able to write on the notes, this is under contract, but we lost out at 600,000, it's going for higher. So then they're seeing that, and it was a similar comp 3 blocks away. So now the appraiser knows it didn't close, but I had insight to say, we lost out at 600,000 and this home is $40,000 less. So I like to write my notes because I feel like it helps, and in 4 years, have only had 2 under appraisals. So I find that it helps my clients as well. So just something that I do. Maybe you want to take that on, maybe not, but I'm just very, very involved, very hands-on type person. So another little tidbit that I do.
Perfect, actually, you did an amazing job, this is so
Great
great.
job, Anna.
Thank you.
So for those of you guys who heard her speed through everything, if you notice, we recorded this and it's going on the YouTube page. So if you wanna go back and hear her re-explain things, that's why we did it for you guys, so you have it available. But thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you, everyone.